Anfield Wrap in association with RedsBet. It's Melia, Andy Heaton, Kev Walsh and Adam Smith. I'm Melissa Reddy, trying to fill the very big, very colourful, very glittery shoes of Neil Atkinson. So, Huddersfield away, lads. Excellent results, exceptionally poor performance.
And that's the end of the show then. Now, if I said before the match, I didn't think it was going to be the walk in the park that everyone suggested it would be. They're not a great team, but they were at home. They were coming off the back of a break for them, effectively, because most of their players probably didn't play international football, whereas most of ours did. I thought we looked a little bit leggy, a little bit tired, but I think part of our game was probably based on the fact that having scored so early, do we need to chase this around because are they likely to score? And the answer was no in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fairly decent summary from Kev, really. I think it was... I think the thing at the moment is there seems to be a bit of a vogue of people trying to bury their head in the sand about some of our performances and kind of be like, well, we're joint top, so what does it matter? I mean, it matters a little bit because we won the game not because of some sort of, defensive masterclass, but because Huddersfield are shite. That's the be-all and end-all of it. They had numerous opportunities to score, probably should have, and a better team probably would have. So I think we came away with a win more by virtue of them not being very good than because of anything that we did, particularly planning-wise. And I think moving forward, we looked like a team that hadn't played together very often because it was a team that hadn't played together very often. So.
We're top of the league. What are you worried about? No, I take that, but I also think there's loads of mitigation, and it's kind of like this narrative. Look, how many people have said last week we've scored more goals at this point now this season than we had last season. We've conceded like 9 less. We didn't start last season on fire. It kind of grew. It was kind of November, December before we started swatting teams aside and hitting that rhythm. And the other side of it, I mean, international breaks, we've gone from, I think in his first 2 seasons, we hardly ever won off the back of an international break. And now we've won 3 of the last 4, and 3 of them have been away. Have to come back from an international break. And then you look at the side as well. You've got Sturridge starting, Shaqiri starting, Lallana's first starting, God knows how long. And we don't. I think as well what you've noticed over the past couple of games is how much you missed that option of Trent. I'm not saying Joe Gomez isn't bad at right back. I think he's a solid right back. But I just think you lose so much more. If you look up towards last year when we were playing really well, how many of those moves started with Trent picking up the ball in midfield and carrying it or sliding in? He's got that finesse of pass that Gomez hasn't at this minute. That being said, then you can say, Huddersfield had a couple of half chances, and that's what they were. All this nailed on penalty for Milner. Don't buy that. It hits his thigh and then hits his hand. It's not a deliberate movement.
I thought it was a penalty, to be fair. His hand moves down to the ball and he's misjudged it with his leg.
It hits his thigh first.
But even regardless of that, if they'd got that penalty, I'm convinced that we'd have had another level to go up.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were passing out from the back and we weren't even pressing them. So if on our top game, if a team as poor as them are playing out from the back, we could destroy them. But we weren't even making a move from midfield to do that. I just thought it felt like, we've got the people to conserve our legs. Conserve the legs for a different period of the game.
I think we've kind of felt a bit like that. For a few matches now, the concern and I suppose that through the passage of time will show which one it is. But there's the positive way of looking at it is, as you say, Kev, that we have got a few more gears that we could have gone up there, which I think is maybe the case. But the worry is that I feel like we were dragged down to Huddersfield level a bit there. It felt a little bit like when we've had. Sort of slightly second string teams playing in FA Cup games against championship sides, and we've ended up in a dogfight which has been and I think that wasn't the case up until we scored. I think we were good, pretty good-ish. It looked like the team that we putting in an okay performance up until we scored, and then after we scored I just thought we were like really poor. I did think we were really poor. I think Wijnaldum comes on second half and we look a bit better, but yeah, the concern is I guess that we have done enough there, but if Huddersfield had been slightly better, then it probably would have been 1-1.
Kev, the interesting thing for me was post-match, Jürgen was asked about the result and the performance and whether he was angry, because he was very visibly frustrated, probably the most frustrated I've actually seen him on the touchline as Liverpool manager. And he said, excellent result. He's not angry, but Liverpool should expect of themselves to be putting in better performances. That's what he wants to see. So he was able to, divorce the result from the performance, and you can be happy with one and not happy with the other, which is perfectly normal. If the manager expected more from his side, surely the supporters are well within their rights to have expected more in terms of the performance.
Yeah, of course, and I think most supporters do, but I think if you listen, I think in previous seasons we've started slowly, and then towards the end of the season we've had some other poor results. So last year, towards the end of the season, obviously with the European Cup final coming in, we had a drop off in the league, which is to be expected. But I just felt like this one, it just felt like a more mature performance. Listen, it wasn't great. I'm not saying I'd like to watch that every week, because it wasn't. But by the same token, it felt like the problem for us could have been fixed by saying to the midfield three, right, start the press with the front three now. Because the front three weren't killing themselves to get there, but that was because the midfield three didn't come up behind them. So once that doesn't happen, our game it's basically totally changed, isn't it? So then it becomes a case of, well, they had a lot more possession second half, but I noticed all of their possession was from full-back to full-back via the centre-half and goalkeeper. At 1-0 up, you can play that all day because you're not really scared of them attacking you because they've scored 4 goals all season. Now, listen, Klopp said he wasn't happy with the performance, so I think that says it all, really. But by the same token, as long as you get that 1-0 win, how many times have we been to places like Huddersfield? Well, in fact, I seen a stat the other day. I think he'd only won 3 of 16 games against the bottom 3, something like that, which is an astounding record when you consider how well we've been playing. So to get the results,
and even in the past, under under previous managers, it would be like the Wigan one each, wouldn't it? Under Rafa, it would have been a penalty given away by Lucas. That was always that type of thing, wouldn't it?
I think the other side of it is I think I'm not saying people have got onto the way that Klopp set his team up to play, but I think by the variation maybe do as well in the long run, in so much as clubs then second guess what you're going to do. You're not this mad frenetic counter pressing, going to push it all over, and then you can set up to maybe play the ball over the top. I'm not saying that wouldn't work all the time. I'm not saying Liverpool are the best, wouldn't absolutely obliterate Huddersfield. But if you've got an opportunity to try something different, why not try it against a team where you think you can afford to do it, as opposed to trying experiments in, I don't know, maybe the derby or something like that. Yeah. I think a lot of this fear, and I get it, and I take Adam's point earlier, but this kind of lurch and negativity around it, I think that's the past scarring us a little bit. I think someone said over the weekend that it's the ghost of 2002, 2003, where we started really well up to October. I think we got beat by Middlesbrough away, but everyone was saying around then, oh, when we click, it's going to be great. But we didn't click. Yeah. We didn't click. Now everything's pointing towards that we will click, and it's just, our best players having it form. As I said, we had loads of changes, and I just think it's something as simple as battering Cardiff for the weekend, and then everyone goes.
I think that's the difference. We're waiting for it to click, but in previous times, or in previous teams especially, we were waiting for it to click with players we'd never seen click before. Yeah. We've seen this team absolutely destroy some of the best teams in Europe. We've seen them absolutely obliterate Man City, haven't we? So we know they've got it in the leg. So I think it's slightly different to that, because waiting for a team that's never done it before, you're hoping it's going to happen, whereas it feels very much inevitable that soon enough we're going to get someone. And as you say, Cardiff, it wouldn't surprise me if it was another 1-0 win now, because Warnock he takes great delight in doing us down, doesn't he? And that for him will be like a victory. So
he'd take a 1-0 now, wouldn't he?
I'd 100%, but I'll be honest, so would I. Do you know what I mean? Just get out and let it not be something daft. And I said it the other day, our best performance, you might find, doesn't come against someone who you're expected to, a Huddersfield or a Cardiff. You might find it comes against an Everton or a Man United.
We've done a PSG this year.
Exactly, PSG.
And I thought we played very well against Spurs as well. I know we didn't actually click and put the ball in the back of the net, but in terms of the overall play of the team, I thought that was probably our best performance of the season so far, was Spurs away.
Yeah. We have raised and lowered our performance, I think, depending on who we played, because I thought we were good Man City at home. I thought we were pretty good Chelsea away as well. So, and then, not as good, but the results have been there. So as I say, you maybe can't judge it yet. Time will tell. I think what something Andy said there was right about this is this is the time to sort of to try these things, because we are going to maybe need to look at different teams. You might be forced into looking at different teams. And I think that's the thing where I'm talking to myself here, we have to be a bit grown up about the changes that happen, because I wasn't very grown up about the about kind of the Lovren Gomez situation, and I was like, I had a face on for the whole first half about that, because I loved the Gomez, Virgil, Alisson axis. But it's good to see it. It's good at least that you know, that's there and it's ready, and whether that becomes the first or the second, even if Lovren and Virgil become the first choice partnership again, we know Lovren's got his fitness issues, so you know you've tried that out, and then there's the Gomez ready to slot back in if need be.
I love this idea of you looking in the mirror, talking to having a words with yourself.
That's my life.
Don't worry, Lovren's not that bad. Yes, he is. No, he's not.
It's a fudge, Adam. It's a fudge. Never mind, Adam.
I think looking at this weekend, and you know, we spoke about the result being separate and the performance being separate, so I think it's only fair that we analyse both differently. The result, so Liverpool have matched their best ever Premier League total after 9 games with 23, and they've now set a new defensive benchmark. After 9 games, they've never conceded 3 goals or less, which is, you know, a statement from when you think 1 year ago today was that match at Wembley, the humiliation against Tottenham. So result-wise, you know, when people are saying, don't worry, Liverpool are joint top of the league, and actually only not in top spot by virtue of Man City being a formidable beast as everyone expected them to be. Adam, there are lots of reasons to be happy.
There are lots of reasons to be happy. I think probably City's goal difference and you know, and results do, again, as they did last season, putting you know, forcing a bit of a negative slant on it. But that, as you say, it's exactly what you would have what you would have if you were to do a prescription of what we kind of needed for the start of this season. This is it. You know, we wanted to have. You know, it was the kind of late return for a lot of players. We thought we'd probably have to grind out some results. We've had a really tricky start, and you probably thought we will start to blossom into some sort of better life and better form, and we'll start to see what the new signings look like after this period, sort of starting as in, you know, now as at the Huddersfield game. So if we have to, if we've kind of, what we needed to do was keep pace with Man City and then start playing well. But to keep pace with Man City, you have to win every game. So it's mad, but that is what we've done. We have kept pace with Man City without yet playing well, and it's that, and because this is what we were talking about before the season started. You basically need to win every game, and then in March, when City wobble, we start playing well, which is mad. But it's that's the pressure that we have to live with. So I think there's huge reasons to be positive. I'm just not particularly feeling it that much. I wasn't feeling it at all during that game, because I felt like there had already been a few wobbles in games before, and it wasn't as good as we were maybe hoping it was going to be. But
well, go on, sorry.
No, I'm finished, Andy.
I can't see it over this thing, so I'm kind of hid behind the screen here. We said this about goal difference. It's funny you mentioned goal difference, because we were talking about this on Saturday. I mean, I think you just got to forget goal difference. I think you've got to totally ignore it. I mean, we all remember the last time we lost the league on goal difference. But I mean,
that's the thing. To lose the league on goal difference it's unheard of. It's unlikely, and if it happens to you, it's another time when Liverpool have lost the league to an unbelievable team. So the last few title challenges we've had, like even when we were at 86 points, where normally that'd win you the league like 9 times out of 10. The one time it doesn't is when we've got there. So we've got to get that sort of mentality out of our head. I heard someone on Radio City Talk this morning saying that City have effectively got a point extra because of their goal difference, which is not true. Do you know what I mean?
You also have to put into context the games,
exactly.
the respective
they play the
teams
dog and duck every week, and we've had to play Real Madrid every single game. Do you know what I mean?
It's just
old Real Madrid, not the season's Real Madrid.
They play Real Madrid every week.
The disheartening look at when you hear City are 4-0 up or something. It's like you can't help but feel a little bit deflated by it. Sorry, Kevin.
No, that you can't. But by the same token, they've got to have. Eventually, they're going to have to play someone decent, aren't they? But they'll have the momentum going with them when they do that. Fair enough. But by the same token, if you're going to win the league, you've got to deal with the pressure of, oh my God, look at what they're doing. Because they're going to be going, oh, we won 5-0 again, but Liverpool have ground out another 1-0.
That's just it. If you're looking for positives, I mean, that's just it. If you're Man City and you're looking in your rearview mirror, you think, yeah, 5-0, and they're still there, and they're still there.
Exactly, yeah. You can beat everyone 5-0, but unless we get the exact same points total as them, goal difference is absolutely, it doesn't matter.
And you go back to the defence, I think I read somewhere, it might probably Jed's here, to see we've conceded less goals the stage of this season than we did the season. We only conceded 16 all season. We conceded more at this point, and one of them goals was obviously the Leicester one. This resilience. Look, I'm not trying to say everything's great and brilliant one thing and the other, but the resilience. If you have 2 or 3 games where you look defensively solid, you go, oh, maybe, because we've seen that before and all falls to bits. But I think the sample's already big enough.
It's over a year, actually, if we're being honest.
We haven't conceded a goal at Anfield in the league since February.
It's also, I think, the difference between mentality and reality, isn't it? When you're talking about that, like the 5-0 of City, as supporters, you go, oh, God, they've won again, they're being amazing, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is we're on the same point system. And the other reality is that they dropped their points to Wolves and we dropped ours to Chelsea. So in terms of which team might be looking and going, well, I feel a bit more confident here. It should really be Liverpool. Yes, Man City might be smashing the goals in, but, as you say, the chances... look, City have done it before, obviously, in a very, very famous manner. But the chances of us finishing on exactly the same points as them on and goal difference being the difference, is slim. And also, we haven't yet clicked. City have. City will go through a period, because they did last season as well, where they struggle a little bit, where they aren't hitting the goals and they are winning 1-0, because that's what champions do. They win games 1-0 when they don't deserve to. So we'll have that moment where we're beating teams 5-0, and then let's see where the goal difference is.
Well, don't forget, City have already dropped points to Wolves away in 2-2. They have proven they're vulnerable.
We need someone to go at them at home. The way Leon beat them. We need someone to get a performance at City where it says, they can be got it. Because Leon have done it in the Champions League, so all the Champions League teams will do that. In the Premier League, teams are not doing it. But I think we're already getting to the point now where teams coming to Anfield and they're going, there's not even any point in signing. Let's just keep it tight. We'll get beat 2 or 3 and we'll go on, we'll accept that.
And the other side of it is, and I don't think it's been pointed out, so maybe it's being fanciful, this time last year, City's already won the league. So, when they're smashing teams 3 and 4 every week, teams were literally just giving up. And they had no one chase them. And even though the chase and pack were like, well, really, we just already, you're looking at trying to finish top 4. And no one had any real aspirations of catching them. Whereas now, it's not just us. Chelsea within a couple of points.
Tottenham will still be looking as well.
Tottenham is still there and thereabouts. Arsenal are in good form. So there's a lot more pressure on City this year. There's a lot more. Look, it's all very well and good. They're beating Burnley 5-0, but, and it sounds childish to say, but I watched that game. City could have been down to 10 men within the first 5 minutes, and it's apples and oranges, one thing and the other. But I think, Kev, you're exactly right. It's about teams having a go and being prepared to go, instead of going there and go, oh, well, we'll go there and I'll take a 1-0, 2-0 defeat. And I haven't gone in with the attitude of, well, if you get away with anything. Whereas I think if you go with the attitude of, look, we'll have a go and risk losing 5-0 because you know what? A point's a point.
Exactly, yeah.
So we've spoken about the results. We've gained lots of positivity from the position Liverpool are in. But Adam, in terms of the performance, I think a good point was made earlier. That game was played on Huddersfield's terms, and we've spoken about mitigating factors. The fact that Huddersfield practically had the international break to prepare for it, while Liverpool's players were all over the world. And the fact that they had to be the aggressive side in the game, Liverpool didn't really need to be. But in terms of the display, the decision making was awful. Very little in terms of proper chance creation. The passing was awful. There were just so many things wrong about that performance.
There were, and there are mitigating factors. Sturridge's first league start for 10 months, I think. Adam Lallana's first league start since he played for Southampton. It was a long. He's been out for a long time, and I can't get my head around why Klopp's playing him in the front 3, because I don't think he's ever really worked in the front 3. And when you then make the Liverpool team where the front 3 is at its most effective because of the speed, to put somebody who doesn't have speed at the best of times and then has been out for so long in that front 3 seemed bonkers to me, especially alongside Sturridge, who has definitely lost his speed. He's got a lot more to his game that is worth talking about and worth celebrating, but he's not as quick as he was anymore, and you can see it every time there looks like there's a break on and he just doesn't have it in his legs. So they are things that are in there, and then the fact that the 3 of them haven't really played together before, it doesn't help. So the performance was stodgy at best, because it just felt like no one was really up to speed. It was almost like that was a game to let them get up to speed against a side who we felt like we probably beat, even with that many changes into the front 3. And then, of course, you're not helped by Henderson, losing Henderson at half time. all of the things that come into that. So there are mitigating factors, but it was also quite a poor performance. And as you say, I think that the thing that bothered me the most wasn't the fact that it wasn't a great performance because of all those mitigating circumstances. It was the fact that the decision making was so poor. Even when Firmino came on, who doesn't, okay, he's got the excuse of the international break, but his decision making was all over the show. He looked dreadful, and he, for me personally, is the biggest concern so far this season because he doesn't seem to be. And the goal against PSG obviously was brilliant. Everyone celebrated it, but he hasn't been at his best since the start of the season. As if the World Cup has been really draining for him, even though he didn't play. Maybe emotionally draining as much as anything else. And so that he's the one that I'm most concerned about. And I think when he starts to click again, we'll see the whole front three start to click again.
Yeah, he's our most important player for going forward. I think everything good we do comes from his movements, dictates to the movements of the other two players he's with all the time. And if he makes it, even if it's a move away from the ball, no matter what he does, it affects their defence because everybody knows that now. Everyone realises that Salah is probably our best player, but I'd say Firmino's probably our most influential.
I'd decided a few games ago that maybe teams had realised that if you stop Firmino, you stop Liverpool.
They are targeting him.
And I think there is an aspect of that, but I do think that Adam's right. Is that he well, certainly the other day he was everything he did pretty much. Well, it was a case of nearly, which I suppose nearly it might as well be a million miles away when you're playing the final ball, or you're trying to shoot. It's the hardest thing to do on the field, isn't it? That final ball. So sometimes if it doesn't come off by a centimetre, it looks awful. And I think Lallana suffered from that as well a bit. I think really the difference between Lallana and even Sturridge actually, I know Sturridge has lost his pace, but he looks strong this season. Whereas I thought Lallana, it's his first game back, but he looked really weak, and as well as he's never been quick. I thought that there was really, I guess if you're talking areas of the field, the midfield as we've sort of, as everyone's kind of said this season, there's definitely some creativity missing. It's a workman-like midfield. Whoever we're kind of playing in there, and the front three isn't really clicking. I thought having Shaqiri in the midfield was the one sort of spark really, and I thought that obviously his ball for Salah and the finish was the one moment of quality in the game. I suppose that's why I was kind of, in terms of decision making, the decision of the lineup really of moving what I think's been the one really quality part of the formation has been the two centre halves and the goalkeeper. So kind of breaking that up, even though I understand why it was done, meant that one part, which has actually not just in a defensive way, having Gomez playing as he did at Stamford Bridge, starting moves, and I know he played the pass actually to Shaqiri to set up the goal against Huddersfield, but it did feel a bit like you've sort of chopped the legs off the one real quality part of the team by shunting Gomez out and taking Trent out of the team, who hasn't been in the best of form but is an attacking threat and gets up and down all day. So yeah, there was the bits of decision making were as they have been really, I guess, and to be expected. And I thought that was the same from pretty much everybody after we scored, and it was just lumpy.
Andy was the. Oh, sorry, Kev.
I was going to say, I seen a stat though that said it was our most misplaced passes for however long. 111 misplaced passes or something like that, which it sounds absolutely bananas for a team of our quality, but it probably shows that the players we've brought in. You put Lallana in for his first start, and however long it may be, Shaqiri starting, Firmino come on. Firmino's never really been a substitute as a starter. No. So you're bringing players into a game, and again, I know it's only Huddersfield away. Firmino must have been thinking, what is this? He's never played against that Huddersfield away, has he, before? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. In that French league, it's a difficult game in a lot of ways that are not what you'd expect to be a difficult game.
It's a half five kickoff as well. Exactly. Stuff like that, just odd things that do make it harder.
I think I need to flag as well, because it can get lost when you're just talking about one team, which is often the case, that we have to dissect it in that way, that Huddersfield were excellent in everything but putting the ball in the back of the net. They were exceptional. They worked tirelessly. They were faster to everything. They had more purpose in their play. They were organised. they knew exactly what they were about, and I thought Liverpool were quite passive, and it will, in facing such an aggressive side, Liverpool's passiveness became more of an issue because Huddersfield just never stopped. You do think sides like them that don't have, decisive quality in their team, they will get to a point where they tire, and actually they were just encouraged by Liverpool being passive. But Andy, going back to decision making, did you feel the counter-attacks, that was where probably Liverpool let themselves down most? Because these difficult games, when you are getting the opportunity to break and you're, in really, really good positions that Liverpool last season thrived in being in, it could have looked a lot easier at the end had they put some of those chances away.
Yeah, I mean, I find it funny, despite us picking out everything that was wrong with the performance. We managed to get Huddersfield in the position where we wanted them a couple of times, and as you said, the decision making was off. So could we really have been that bad? Yeah. A couple of situations there, if the right pass is on, it's not even like a hard or difficult pass. It's like basic errors or poor decision making. Yeah. You come away and you're 2 and 3. All right, you haven't played well, but it's much more palatable. And you've said yourself, Huddersfield played really, really well, and we dug it out. And I think it's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I mean, Jurgen's always big on rhythm, isn't he? And we just seem to lack a little bit of rhythm in key areas. But I don't know. I think that'll come. I take it. And one thing I'd say as well, to talk about, teams trying to, and maybe this reflects in the lineup, people targeting Firmino. Well, then that's up to the rest of the team to cover for that. Because if you're put more resource into stopping Firmino, then by proxy you're creating more, leaving gaps, space with the sides, and it's up to Liverpool to take advantage of that. And to be fair to this Liverpool side, and I'll parrot it again. The Liverpool side that started last year was completely different to one that ended it, and I think you'll see that this year as well. And one thing this Liverpool side does do is learn. It's not soft. It always
gets better as well.
It gets better, and it's intelligent decision making. Speaking of improving, and he was only just mentioned in the dispatches there, and in a difficult circumstance, I thought Fabinho was actually all right when he came on. I thought he looked pretty good when he came on, and you can see what he brings. There was an instance on near the right hand side touchline where he picked up the ball and motored past 2 or 3 of them and carried that ball in position. I think that's what we've been missing. Someone who's been carrying the ball
driver,
from deep.
Another thing we've been missing that he brought is somebody went past him and he either kicked them or just pulled their shirt, just out. Which is it's one thing which we definitely many people have said, which is true, is that we're too nice. So that sort of thing, more of that sort of thing.
I think you've with that. Sorry, excuse me. I think you've missed the value of Oxlade-Chamberlain. And I think, and it's all very well and good saying, the front three aren't firing, but we haven't carried that threat from as good as Milner's been. We haven't carried that threat, and yourself, there's nothing worse than a team when someone's running at you. Yeah. I mean, you hark back to the likes of McManaman. If you're trying to pull defences out of position, it's all very well and good having a front three moving horizontally, but if you've got someone running at them as well, and like, where am I going? What am I doing? Who's picking who up? How many times last year did we walk the ball in the net because heads were kettled everywhere?
It's the fourth man running for a midfield, isn't it? Which I think everyone thought Keita was going to be, and probably still will be when he actually finally clicks into a bit of form. He's just having a little. I think he's struggling to not. Well, he's not even really struggling, but he's just not getting his best out because he's come to a difficult league, and you're not going to get it all your own way. When he does realise and he does find the way that works for him, he'll be the one, I think, that does break that line. And when that fourth man running into that front three is what causes, it's like dropping hand grenades all over the show, because who's picking them up? I've got to step out here, and the second one of you takes away from, oh my God, from being a yard away from Firmino, and you move, so then someone else moves. Before you know it, Salah's got 2 yards of space and it's a goal. When that does finally start happening, I'm confident you'll see it happening over and over again, because it'll be muscle memory. Once they start doing it, they know how to do it all day.
So it just leads back to exactly what the managers actually said. But up until last season, I think he said that, I always felt that Liverpool had to play brilliantly to win. Yeah. That doesn't excuse what we're doing at the minute, by the way. But the fact that we can do this, and it's now within us, despite not having what you're saying, the manic energy going forward, the pulling defenders out of position, we're doing just enough.
Yeah. I'll take 1-0 wins all the way through the winter.
that's hugely important psychologically for them to be able to know that they can do it, because that was the issue last season and the season before. They had that self-fulfilling prophecy in defense where they just didn't believe that unless they scored, 3 or 4, that they were ever safe. We spoke about, the bad parts of the performance, but there were glimpses of really good things and positive things to pick out. And one of the main attractions for me being sat there on the halfway line was the combination play between Mohamed Salah and Daniel Sturridge, which was just almost there. It always almost clicked, but it was really good. I mean, the ball Daniel Sturridge plays for Salah is probably, the ball of the match, and unfortunate that it doesn't end in a goal.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, we were talking about this literally as it was going. Oh, Daniel's having a quiet one. Daniel,
Look at that, yeah.
Look at that, and that's what he brings. I thought it was Salah's most positive performance for Liverpool for in the maybe for a couple of months. I mean, he gets his goal, great finish by the way, underrated. Maybe should have had the second. And yeah, I think
hits it with his right, doesn't he?
Yeah, which kind of
hits it early with his right, and the goalkeeper's not expecting it. It's a really good finish.
Lozell's awful anyway, but no, I take your point. No, he catches him unawares, and I think with Sturridge, it's what you're expecting from him. As Adam quite rightly said, he's not got the legs. He's not going to burst through the line and do something mad, but he still has that contribution where he's got a maturity and also an intelligence about him now. And also, the one thing that's been underrated about him is his vision. He's got a picture of the game in his head.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at some of the goals, and it kind of got lost because he was scoring every game anyway. But the amount of goals he put on a plate for the likes of Suarez a couple of seasons ago, he's always had that. And I think finding a role for him in this team can only be positive, especially when the likes of Firmino's not 100% fit or someone else isn't firing. He can have a quiet game and then break it open in half a second, as we nearly saw.
With Sturridge, he's got, it's not just the connection play, he's getting better as he's got older with connecting with other players, because in the past, and even with Suarez a little bit, sometimes you'd see him thinking, well, I just want to do this is like my type of thing.
He couldn't he? But
he still can. He's like that goal against Chelsea, do you know what I mean? It's a goal out of nothing, isn't it? But if he can connect with Salah, I think he probably realised now he's matured a lot, and he's probably gone to West Brom last year and realised, oh my God, this is not where I want to end my career. He's only, what is he, 29, something like that, do you know what I mean? He's by no means finished. He's just got to adapt his game because he was quick. And he used that to his advantage, as all players should do. But now that his body knows that if he tries to break into a full speed sprint, he might well pull up. You've got to adapt your game, and if you can adapt this successfully and make someone like Salah think, oh, I like playing with him. Listen, if you pick the best kid in the playground to play with, don't you? It's popularity by default, isn't it, almost? And if he can do that, which I think he can, it's another great option for us to have up front, and it's any option that takes a little bit of pressure off Firmino, I think for us is absolutely vital.
And you know what? When you're in the box as well, pace matters very. If you're in a crowd there, and I'll say this, and I've said it before, if you're in a crowd there, your pace matters very, very little. If you've got quick feet, and he has got quick feet, and you've got to finish, if he gets a good run of games, he can easily score 10, 15 goals a season, and that absolutely then justifies his position.
He's definitely more collaborative, and I think the word you use there, vision, that sums him up pretty well, because he does, beyond having the vision to do something, to pick a pass or to curl it in the top corner, he has the confidence in himself that he's able to execute it, which I think, when we talk about missing a dynamic force in midfield or whatever, you need somebody then to think, I'm going to do something out of the ordinary.
I'm not worried about any of the backups. I think I said this last show, I'm not worried about any of the backup people. So you like Salah and Shaqiri especially. It's more the actual starters where you're sort of saying like, oh, you're just sort of desperate for them to produce those moments of quality. And there was two probably. There was the goal from Salah, and there was another turn in the area where he's away. He sort of feint, drops his shoulder one way and goes the other way. Other than that, I did think his touch, it was bouncing off him as it does with all good players sometimes. But you can see it's not quite there. But there are the early signs of green shoots, hopefully, for Salah. If we're talking positives, then I still think that Shaqiri has not put a foot wrong for Liverpool. I just think he's worked a lot harder than a lot of people thought he was going to. But I just think every touch you can see what he's trying to do. He's had the the miss against Chelsea, which is so frustrating. But what an amazing position to be in. He's done everything right, and I just think that's been the story so far. And I'm not I'm fine with how he's being. With how he's being brought in bit by bit, but every time he comes on, every time he starts, I'm just just thinking.
Feels like Jurgen sort of got him on a leash. He's a dog straining. Do you know what I mean? So when he does finally let him off, it'll be oh my god.
It almost reminds me of like something that would happen for a national team. When like everybody knew how good Owen was, but like the manager for England wasn't playing him. But like there's a clamour around it. So then by the time they come in, it is like they explode onto it, and I really can see that happening.
He's another one with great vision as well, isn't he? He fits in with that front three as either a replacement for or in games where you're maybe not defending as much. The fourth man running into that, he really fits into that because he can connect with all three of them because he knows what they're going to do. They know what he's going to do, but also he's got the skill to do it, and he's willing to work hard enough to make it work for us. I love him. I've always liked him, even at Bayern Munich and even at Stoke. He's the one who I think will probably push us on, and as you say, when he does get finally let off that lead, it'll be like another level for him to go up, and he's playing well enough as it is.
He's an interesting one, Shaqiri, and I don't know if you could see on TV, but he was able to find space all the time, and finding space against a very compact system and a very aggressive system. He wasn't played in all the time, and I think that again comes back to the point of Liverpool not being dynamic enough when they were in possession. But the other thing is that Shaqiri's very good with what he offers, and what he offers is what this Liverpool team needs. But he still has so much work to do in understanding his off-the-ball requirements. And I think that's why Klopp's always on his case. And again, I don't know if you could tell on TV, but Klopp was often at him, telling him, you've got to go and play in between the lines now. Go link up now. You've got to drop now. You're not support. You've got to come back and give support. He was in his ear constantly. But Adam, he does have the ability, like we said with Sturridge, where you have to do something different. A game often needs a moment, and he can give you that moment, and he believes he can give it to you.
He does, and I believe I think from the times it's been picked up that Klopp's been having a go at him, I look at Shaqiri and I see somebody who's taking it in. He's not. It's not like he's got a face on him. He wants to take it. He's that ambitious. He wants to. He's not resting on his laurels at Liverpool like you see some players do. He wants that. I'm into it.
I haven't spent as long as he did at Stoke after being at Bayern Munich. Do you know what I mean? Coming up to at this level, he must be not listening to whoever Mark Hughes, whoever screaming, just get back or just lump or whatever it is. Yeah. Man, he must be like talking to Aristotle, mustn't he? Do you know what I mean? on the side of the pitch there. So you fucking hell, Aristotle. Jesus Christ.
Fucking veil slipped in.
The one thing I have to say about him, which I think, the perception of him is quite wrong. His attitude is exceptional, and he's really a very, very, very nice person, quite popular. And while he backs himself on a football pitch and has, over the course of his career shown himself to be very individualistic or have the ability to be, I think, as we said, when he was linked with, he does have the potential. He's very good at bringing other people into play if he trusts them, and I think we can see that at Liverpool.
We get to see him v Serbian, him v Serbia in the World Cup. We get to see that Shaqiri this week as well.
Exactly, yeah. But Andy, one of the other positives of the game, which I wanted to speak to you about,
go on.
We saw Alisson, because of Huddersfield determined to press high, being able to stretch the play with his distribution. And again, like we spoke about the Salah and Sturridge combination, just the almost. There were so many times he just, almost got it right, but you could see the ability to not just have to play out from the back all the time.
Yeah, you've seen that more and more. I think it started creeping in, funny enough, that Porter's performance in season Napoli away, although the distribution was excellent in that game. I think you should get more and more relaxed. I just think I can't think of anything negative to say about him, to be honest. It's just this assurance he's got. But also, I think the other side of it is not just his distribution. And I'll go back to the way City set up. It's having the outfield team also prepare for that. So I'll give you a prime example. Jordan Pickford's distribution's pretty good, right? That's fair comment. And yet when Allardyce had Everton come to Anfield last year, he was put into touch. I think he put everyone apart from 3 clearances into touch because that was under instruction because no one knew what to do with it. And that doesn't come overnight. And you look at the evolution when Pepe Reina was in goal, it didn't just happen straight away. You work on patterns of play, and I think that's coming. And also, to be fair, I think that's maybe why, I'm not saying it's any particular, I'm saying that's the reason why he's in. But I think maybe what Gomez can give you ahead of Trent is that height, where if he's playing it long into the channels, Gomez is more than likely to win that ball in the air. I think you can see more and more. I think he's thrown with what we haven't really seen, which is a little bit disappointing, is how much distance he can get with his arm as well. I mean, I've watched some videos of him. He can clear it. He can hit the other area without bouncing with a throw.
Do you know what I think that is though? It often is the fact that when he gets the ball to feet, it's not often through making a save or breaking an attack down. It's a pass from one of our other players. You know what I mean? So if he comes out and collects a ball, that'll sometimes happen. But how many opportunities he's actually had to do that? I don't
not
think
giving away that many.
Exactly, yeah.
Just a corner or something.
Just quickly on Shaqiri, I'll tell you why Klopp likes him. The one thing he does, which is integral to this side, I think Wijnaldum does it very well. He can turn in an instant, either side as well. And when you attack the way Liverpool attack and you're trying to pull people out of position, that's so important. And it happened for the goal.
He actually references it himself, Shaqiri, talking about his turn. Yeah.
Well, there you go. See. Well, no, I think not much to add on that. Other, I think you're right. I think it's kid in a sweet shop for him, and I don't think it's for a lack of effort. I think it's actually over enthusiasm when he wants to do everything. Like a younger Steven Gerrard just wanted to be everywhere and affecting everything. When if you're a little bit more disciplined, and that's when you see the best of him. The amount of times that second half, and we referenced it when we were watching the game, when it was Shaqiri picking up the ball 20 yards from his own goal.
Yeah.
And that's new to him. That's got to be new to him. That isn't something that he's used to. So it's going to take time.
He said that over the weekend. He said that it's not a position he's used to playing, but I've seen a lot more of the ball. So even he's taking the positives out of it. The thing you can say about that as well, with Lallana being in the front three, you could quite easily switch Lallana into the midfield and put Shaqiri up into the front three for. Well, you could do it all game if you wanted, but it's a good little switch to make if you want to do 20 minutes where you just shake it up a little bit, get a little bit more pace going forward. Shaqiri now can play. Listen, he's probably played more positions for Liverpool than he's played throughout his whole career, and he's enjoying. He's really enjoying learning to do that type of stuff. Imagine what he's going to be like by the end of the season when he's fighting to get into the team for European Cup finals and whatnot. He's going to be on fire.
He'll be thinking. I mean, we said this over the summer, and I'm sorry again for those listeners. Why do you keep saying we said this before? He'll be thinking he can make himself a permanent fixture in this 11. He's
100%, yeah.
And more power to him. He's not just come here to make up the numbers, and he's got an opportunity now, maybe because we're not on fire at the minute, to affect that and get himself in the manager's thoughts where. And it's different now because for the first time in season since maybe the Rafa's 2007, 2008, there's not necessarily a starting 11. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like the gap between the 11 on the pitch and the benches, the drop-off's massive. There's not. So it's more like a homogenous group of maybe 14, 15 and 16, where maybe apart from the goalkeeper and Virgil van Dijk, and maybe, if Salah's fit, he automatically starts. Every other position in that pitch is up for grabs. And he'll be thinking he can get in.
Speaking of positions being up for grabs, Gini Wijnaldum, best midfielder for Liverpool this season. I don't think anyone was thinking that, during pre-season with all the investment into that area of the pitch and all the players Liverpool already had. In fact, there were rumours about him being linked away because people assumed that he'd want to go elsewhere to play regularly because he wasn't going to do it at Liverpool. He comes on, Kev, and he makes the difference again. He's exceptional.
He was like a step up in quality, wasn't he? Because he's just taken his form throughout the whole season, and even in a disjointed game and being put into a disjointed team, just at the class above. And the sign of a good player is always the second they have on the ball. And as you referenced before, Mel, they were all over us. They were right into snapping into every tackle, really putting pressure on us. But Wijnaldum just seemed to glide through the game like he so often does. Really, his passing is excellent, and now that he's got a little bit more, I don't know. I'm not sure what it is because I don't think he wasn't working hard before. I'm not sure what the next level up that he's got
I think it's more responsibility.
Yeah, yeah, maybe that is what it is actually. Yeah, because he's really reveling in it, so he's becoming a fulcrum of the team. Quite a lot of what we do well goes through him at the moment, doesn't it? So everything. Listen, I love him anyway. I always have done. But the likes of Saturday he must be thinking now, like bouncing into Melwood today, and he's like, yeah, I was the difference maker. It felt as if
a little bit that he's one of those players that. He's a good substitute because he watches the game really well. And the first thing that happened was that he was fouled, and it should actually have been a booking. He gets his Achilles scraped, doesn't he, by the Huddersfield lad? And I think that the referee, which is another thing that made me think it's a little bit like an FA Cup game against a lower league team, is that the referee was just letting them kick us, and we were being too quiet about it. And Wijnaldum demonstrates that he's being fouled really well. His body shape. He's very demonstrative, Wijnaldum. You can kind of see which position in midfield he's playing by kind of what he's doing. So when he's doing that sort of spreading himself to protect the ball in a very sort of showy way, look that he's fouling me. That's something that I think he would have seen from the sidelines during the first half and thought that we need to be whatever it is.
Game intelligence.
It's not even that we need to be moaning to the referee, because that's like my simplistic way of looking at it as a fan. Even though I think that's true, we do need to probably talk to the referee a little bit more to say, we need to stick up for each other, and everybody needs to be saying when we're fouled in these sorts of games. But Wijnaldum doesn't even do that. He just shows clearly that he is being fouled, and then afterwards we can talk to the referee. So it is that game intelligence, and I thought that I think that. Even though I've sort of said after we scored I thought we were poor, I think from half time until maybe 75, the influence of Wijnaldum you could see. You could see that he had taken us up a gear.
Melia, just on that point about people who excelled in the game, Joe Gomez, you weren't really happy with him moving out of centre back, but
I mean, to clarify, I just think it's a bit of a fudge, and I'm all right with it as long as it sort of works itself out in the way that I want it to, because I think that it's a shame because of Gomez, I think has been our best player at centre half this season, and I think he is not as good as Trent at right back.
But he has played really well at right back.
He has played really well at right back, and I think he was good. There was times where I thought he came over and conceded a free kick, right sort of in front of the D, and I thought, is he coming over and trying to do what he thinks Lovren should be doing at that point? And probably it's confirmation bias because I didn't want him there. I wanted to do a centre half, but there was moments where I thought, I just wouldn't have changed that axis. But yeah, he was fab. He was brilliant. Wherever he plays at the moment, he's brilliant. I really hope he can stay fit. And it is him that plays an absolutely brilliant pass, an underrated pass to Shaqiri for Shaqiri to set Salah up for the goal. And as I say, I think we see more of that when he's at centre half. I love the front foot way he plays, and again, it's confirmation bias. But I think that the allowing Huddersfield to take us down to their level maybe doesn't happen quite so much with a Gomez there, because he's been setting the tone for us in these games from centre half by stamping his authority in possession and out of it.
Do you think there's an element of that? I'm not slagging Dejan Lovren enough because I think he's been in the form of his career, but Lovren likes to get involved and have a scrap.
I think so. Yeah. No, I think he'll let them have the ball and then hit them. Whereas
he likes to be last. He not likes to be last ditch, but he doesn't mind. He loves to throw a tackle in. That's sort of his game. Whereas Gomez sort of glides across and arrives.
Yeah, Lovren's front foot as well, but in an aggressive, ultra aggressive way, which really works sometimes. But I think that Gomez has just been a combination of cool and fast with the way he's played front foot.
So if they were Dorm and Adam, so Lovren would be the one who steams in and lashes you out by your jacket, whereas Joe Gomez would be the one who escorts it out quietly and just deals with it before it kicks off.
And then takes your beard on.
I didn't want to go that far, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, though?
He is cool.
Yeah. Adam, it is important, when we speak about rhythm and rotation and all that stuff, we tend to only think about the attacking players. And, I think Gomez has probably been the standout player thus far for Liverpool off this season. Whether he's played I prefer him at centre-back, but I think he's been excellent at right-back. He was my man of the match, joint with Wijnaldum on Saturday. But do you think Klopp definitely likes the aggression in Lovren? Gomez has everything. He doesn't have the aggression. I don't think he actually needs it. That's not his game. But do you think the manager thinks it's important to have... We've seen him give Matip a chance there at centre-back, to get as many minutes in all of them as possible, because throughout the season you're going to get periods, and we've seen all of them have injury issues, Matip, Gomez and Lovren, so getting as many of them as sharp as possible, as much as possible, at the heart of defence.
I think the key thing is the injuries that you've just mentioned. That I think the fact that all of them have got their own little problems that crop up every now and again mean that somebody's going to have to come in maybe cold, so giving them a chance to just be used to the rhythm and be used to playing with each other and things is important. And in terms of the defence generally, the moment I think I'll believe that we can win the title is the moment we win a game like Saturday without Van Dijk in the side. That's the moment I'll think this defence has got it now. They understand it.
I don't think anyone wants to see this Liverpool defence without Virgil van Dijk.
I agree, but I think that's the moment that heads will fall off. And that's the moment when, if we come through it with, say, Lovren playing alongside Gomez instead of Van Dijk, and we cope and we survive the onslaught for the last 5-10 minutes or whatever, and we win 1-0. That's the moment I think I will think, yeah, we've got this. We've got the ability to do this now. Because I think, when you were talking about Alisson before, I think the two things that Alisson and Van Dijk bring to the side are the ability to make a mistake and look like they don't give a shit. And that is just so key, because I think people, Adam used the phrase confirmation bias before. Anybody slagging off anything Lovren's done recently, it's just pure confirmation bias, because pretty much since that loss to Tottenham, he's been brilliant. Yeah. He's been really, really excellent at what he's been doing. But one thing he does do is if he makes a mistake, another one follows pretty quickly, because he doesn't have the ability to just shrug it off. Whereas that's exactly what Van Dijk does. He just has that look. He has had amazing
when he's been next to Van Dijk, which I suppose is your point.
Yes, yeah,
Van Dijk's brought that air of calm,
that coolness and calm, and Alisson's the same, because he's not been flawless. He has done things, obviously. When we know the Leicester one, the thing with that Leicester goal that was absolutely key wasn't the mistake. It was that about a minute and a half later, he played another pass that could easily have been cut out, because he had the balls to do it and to say, I'm not bothered that I made that error. And that's what this Liverpool team needs in the defensive lineup. And it's what Van Dijk offers, which is why I say when Van Dijk's not there, that's when I'm interested to see how they react, as much as I don't want to see it.
I wonder whether, just on a slightly related point, with what we have seen is Lovren's always liked a 2 or 3 week layoff, and he has been injured, but sometimes he's just been ill, and it's been a little bit like, I wonder whether I'm wondering whether now he's got serious pressure on his position, whether we'll see less of these one game layoffs from Lovren, and that can only be a positive thing.
Jurgen Klopp says 23 points is a brilliant base. I think we all agree with him. This has been the free show on the Anfield Wrap in association with RedsBet. Thanks for listening. Thanks for contributing.